Hello, welcome to another lesson. Okay, this channel is meant for people that do not have time to go to class, people that don't have resources to go to class. We are providing mathematics from grade 8 up to 12 to help those people pass their exams without complications. Okay, we are bringing class closer to you. So now, in this lesson, we're going to look at a subheading under coordinate geometry, which is the perpendicular lines. We're going to look at the equations of perpendicular lines. So what are we talking about when two lines are perpendicular to each other? What does that tell us? When two lines are perpendicular to each other, what are we talking about? So we are saying when two lines are perpendicular to each other, at their point of contact, they form the right angle, which is 90 degrees. Once we have that case, then we have to get to know that these two lines are perpendicular. We have got this line, for instance, we have this line and this one, then we have this. So we are saying at their point of contact here, they give us 90 degrees, then we are saying these two lines are perpendicular to each other. All right? So that is what we want to establish in this particular lesson. So we are saying if two straight lines are perpendicular, okay? If two straight lines are perpendicular, okay, then the gradients of then the product of their gradients is -1. Then the product of their gradient is -1, just as we have seen here. This is the gradient of the first line or the first equation. This is the gradient of the second line or equation. So when we multiply, a product is the answer that we get after multiplication. So when we multiply their gradients, we should get -1. So meaning, when you find the gradient of the first one, you should be able to conclude that what will be the gradient of the other. All right? Maybe just there. If we look at, if you find that the gradient of, because we are looking at the product, their product is 1. So if you get that the gradient of the first one is 2. Now we are looking at what number do we multiply by 2 in order to get -1? So if what we have, one of the two must be negative. One of the two must be negative. Okay? So if this is a positive, then definitely the second one should be a negative. So that when we multiply a positive by a negative, we should get what? A negative, because their product is -1. Now, how is it going to be? It should be the reciprocal. It should be the reciprocal of this one. Okay? Should be the reciprocal of this one. So in a fraction form, this is like 2/1. This is 2/1. So the other part here, it is going to be the other way around, which is going to be what? 1/2. Okay? Which is 1/2. Okay? And I've said one of the gradients should be a negative. If what you have given the first one is a negative, then the second one, because the product must be negative. So this is very important here. Okay? So if what we were given is this one, then the other one, since this is a negative, the other one must be the opposite of this one, but without a negative, which is going to be 2/1. 2/1 is the same as 2 just. All right? So that is basically what we are looking at. If what you are given is the gradient of the first one is 4/7. Now we are looking at what number or fraction do we multiply by -4/7 to get -1? And I'm emphasizing that it's going to be the reciprocal of this one, but without a negative, because we already have a negative here. So meaning we are going to have 7/4. 7/4. This gives it 1 here, 1 there. So we're going to have -1 when you multiply this. So that is what we are saying. So please get to know that. Just get to know that. When you are told to prove or to show that the two lines are perpendicular to each other, they are just telling you to show that M1, when you multiply it by M2, they should give you -1. You're just proving that. Okay? Remember, in the other lesson where we're looking at parallel, what we said, we just said they're equal to each other. All right. So, let's look at this lesson here. Or let's look at the examples. Let us look at the examples. So we have the example, which is the first one. Let's find the equation of a straight line that is perpendicular to this equation. And it passes through this point. We have, for instance, the x or y plane here, just an example. Then this point, which is 3, let me give you this point, which is 3, 1, we take it that it's at this point, 3, 1, it's here. That is this point. Then you have another line. Now, just an example. Then this one is y, just an example. I really don't know if this way. I'm just trying to demonstrate something. Okay. I'm just trying to demonstrate something, please. I'm not saying this is maybe how it may look. Okay. So we are going to say that if the two are parallel, or maybe let's put it this way. Let's try to put it this way. Let's see. Let's try to put it this way. This is our 0. We have our 2, 4, 6. We have our 2, 4, and 6 there. Let me try to sketch this point, this equation, so that we can have. Okay, so when x is equals to 4 here. Okay, we start with when x is equals to 0 here. I'll put 0 this point. When x is equals to 0, what will be y? Y is going to be what? 6. So it will be this point here. Okay, that's okay. The first coordinate. Then the second one is going to be when x is equals to 4 here. When x is equals to 4, what are we going to have? When x is equals to 4 here. When x is equals to 4, this is going to be 1 plus you have 7. So meaning we're going to have 7 somewhere here. So the line is going to come this way. Something like that. This is going to be our y is equals to 1 over 4x plus 6. Okay, better we draw it, yes, as it is, than just to have an assumption. So this is this. Now, we want to come up with an equation of a straight line that is perpendicular to this one. And it passes through which point? It passes through the point 3,1, somewhere here. 3,1. So we say that point that we are looking at, we want a line that passes through this point, something like that. Okay? And when it gets to this one, it should be perpendicular. Alright? When it gets, just an example, when it passes through, at the point that they are cutting, they give us a 90 degrees. So what are we supposed to do? This line that has been given here is going to assist us getting to know what the gradient is going to be for this line. Because you know that to find the equation of a straight line, we need the gradient and the point, the coordinates of one point. Okay? The coordinates of one point, which is this point that has been given here, where we have the x coordinate and the y coordinate. Alright? So now, what we are saying is that, given this one, since it has been mentioned that the two lines are perpendicular to each other, excuse me, then it will be easier to determine the gradient for the other one. So what are we going to do? We are going to find the gradient of this one. We're going to find the gradient of this one because we know the relationship. M1 multiplied by M2 should give us -1. So our M1 here, this one has already been written in the standard form. It has already been written in the form that is recommended in order for us to identify the gradient. So once we have the equation in this form, then our gradient is the coefficient of x here, which is m. So in this case here, our gradient is 1/4. Our gradient is 1/4. That is our m1. Our m1 is 1/4. Our m1 is 1/4. That is the gradient of the first line. Now the gradient of the line that is perpendicular to this one, we are saying the 2 should give us what? -1. And I am emphasizing, if this is a positive, one of them should be negative. So since this is a positive, this one, then the other one should be a negative. But it will be the reciprocal of this one. Okay? So it is the reciprocal of this one is 4/1. 4/1, it's the same as 4. So it is going to be like -4 here. That is, now this is the gradient that we want. We'll use this gradient and this point to come up with the equation, which is perpendicular to this one. All right? So please, I hope you are following. Okay, so now we come up with the equation saying our gradient is -4. The point that we have 3 and 1. This is our x1, this is our y1. So the formula that we use is this one. X minus x1. Okay, so we get to replace. This is the equation, the formula that I use to find the equation, but the other formulas that are equally applicable. So we say minus 1 is equals to our gradient is -4, x minus 3. Have 1 minus 1, x plus 12. Y is equals to -4x plus 12 plus 1. The additive inverse of -1 is +1. And y is equals to -4x plus 13. This is what is going to be the gradient of the line that is perpendicular to this one. When you look at the gradients here, we have -4. This one has 1/. That is what we are looking at. That is what we are looking. These questions, please, we just have to get familiar with them. It's as simple as that. It is as simple as that. So this is the equation that you are required to find in this case. Okay? So let's look at the second one. Let us look at the second one. Let us look at the second one. All right? Make sure we are practicing. Mathematics is about practicing. We should be going through these things. You go through them. Okay? Teachers, those of you that are watching these things, please make sure that you reach out to us on where we have to get to make corrections. Sometimes these things is easier that we can skip, we can maybe error somewhere, somehow. So find the gradient of a line that is perpendicular to this one. Find the gradient of a line that is perpendicular. So the first thing that we are supposed to do is to know what is the gradient of this line. What is the gradient of this line? So to find the gradient of this line, we need to write our equation in this form. Y is equals to mx plus c. Once we have written it in this form, then we conclude that what we are going to have as the coefficient of x becomes our gradient. All right. So now let's solve for y here. We need to make y the subject of the formula. We have 3x minus 2y is equals to 4. So we need to write our equation in this form. So this is what we are supposed to do. The additive inverse of 3x is minus 3x. So that is what we are going. So we have 2y is equals to, this one comes inside as minus 3x. It has to come immediately after the equal sign so that we have the equation in this form. Then this is a positive, so it's going to be plus 4. Okay? Then we go on, we need to make y the subject of the formula. So we have minus 3, minus 2 here. 4, you also divide this one. Are we there? Then we go on now to say y, this will be positive now. Ooh, there's x here. This will be positive because we have negative and negative. Then this one, we have a positive and a minus. This is going to be 2. This is going to be 2. This is going to be 2 there. All right. So now, after we have the gradient now here, at this point we can conclude that m1 is equals to what? 3 over 2. Now, we want the gradient of a line that is perpendicular to this one. And we are saying, when the two lines are perpendicular to each other, the product of their gradients is -1. So we are asking ourselves, what fraction or number should we multiply by this one to get the product of -1? And I did allude to the fact that that should be the reciprocal of this one. But since this is a positive, then the second one must be a negative. So we're going to have -2 over 3. We are going to have -2 as, we're going to have -2 over 3 as the gradient of the second line, which we want here. Okay? So this is the gradient that we are going to use together with this point. This is the gradient that we are going to use together with this point to come up with the equation that we are being asked to find here. Okay? To come up with the equation that we are being asked to find. Okay? Come up with the equation that we are being asked to find. All right, so we come. This is going to be, we need this one, mx minus x1. Our x1 is this one. Our y1 is this one. Our m is this one here. So we go on. Minus 5. This is equals to minus 2 over 3. X we have a minus plus this minus. This minus the 9. We have a plus. When this is a fraction, when the gradient is a fraction, I always advise learners to cross multiply here, meaning you have 3, then y minus 5 minus 2, x plus 9. Then you simplify, this is going to give you 3, 15 minus 2, x minus 18. All right? Then we have 3, y is equals to minus 2, 18 plus 15. So we have 3y is equals to minus 2. X, what do we get here? We get minus 3. Okay? We get minus 3. Then you can leave it at this point, or if you want, you can divide throughout by 3, where you're going to get minus 2, 3, then this is going to give you 1, because you have to divide this 3 by this 3, you get 1. So it could be this one or this. Or if again you want, you can write it in standard form, where you bring this one the other side, then you just have equals to 3, -3 there. So basically this is what is expected of you to do when you are asked to find the equation of a straight line. The equation of the other line, given that the two are perpendicular to each other. It's about the gradient. It's about the gradient, and you have to understand this concept. It is as simple as that. Once you understand that, when we multiply the gradients of two lines that are perpendicular to each other, the product of their gradients is -1. It's about that. Okay? It's about that. I don't expect you to really have any challenge when it comes to these things. Okay? So you'll be asked to do a number of questions here, and I do believe that you just have to repeat the process that we have carried out here, and that will be easier for you to give us the correct answer, what is expected of you to do. So maybe let me give you the exercise based on these same questions. I'll just change the equations here. Okay, so you take this now as an exercise. You take this as an exercise. Okay, so the first one, we call it x plus 2 is equals to 4. Then here we say minus okay. Then the points, the point should be 0,3. Then this one, the point is -3, -4. All right, this is what I expect you to do. Please take note that we have the x-axis, we have the origin, which is 0,0. We have the y-axis. So if you are talking about the equation cuts the y-axis at this point, you have to know that whatever point here along this line, it's 0, whatever number here. If we are talking about this one here, this is 0,2. If you've got 10 here, this is 0,10. So please, you shouldn't have issues on how to extract the coordinates. You should know that how do we write the coordinates? You start with the x coordinate, then you come to the y coordinate. Okay, you come to the y coordinate. We have this point here. If we have another 2 here, or let me say 3, what are the coordinates? You start with 3, 2. This is the x coordinate and the y coordinate there. All right, we shouldn't have issues on how to extract coordinates. So having given you the task, please, this is the last presentation in this topic, and I should think it's the 8th or 9th. So there are a number of them, and I would request that you follow them in the order from the first one up to this one. Then they become easier. All right, they become easier. The lessons have been presented from grade 10 up to 12. Like, you should follow everything, and you'll be able to write your exam peacefully without complications. All right, subscribe to our channel. Give us the comments on how best we can do these things. Otherwise, thank you very much for supporting us and watching.